they're either going to have to change their lifestyle, in other words, bring those numbers down, or they can't retire.
Or work longer, yeah. Right.
You got to save more. You got to pay more, get the house paid off, or get whatever other, they may have other debt that needs paid off before they can retire. They may be able to semi-retire, get out of the job that they wanted to get, retire from, but they're still going to have to go earn 15 grand somewhere.
Sure.
I don't care doing what, but because they don't have enough money to truly retire.
Right.
But we don't know that until we look at those numbers and then run everything from there. Right. You don't want to find out 2 or 3 or 4 or 5 years into retirement that it ain't going to work out.
Right.
And then go back to work, which you see.
Welcome to today's Retirees with Certified Financial Planner Wayne Maslyk of Great Lakes Benefits and Wealth Management. Anchored in family values, Wayne offers practical advice to help you get the most out of your retirement years. For more information, visit today'sretirees.com. Now, here's your host.
And welcome to today's Retirees with Certified Financial Planner Wayne Maslyk of Great Lakes Benefits and Wealth Management. We're glad that you are with us today, and once again, Wayne has thrown me a bone. No, he didn't. He didn't give me any talking points. And I'm one of these guys that likes to prepare. So,
it'll be easy.
It's going to be easy.
Yeah, I do want to get your take on it first, and that you're the closest person here to a lay person out there, and
okay.
So.
By the way,
yeah.
Let me just mention, when you see me, I had a guy talk to me the other day. He came up to me and he said, "I've seen you on your program, and what do you think?" And I said, I don't know anything. I said, call Wayne.
Yeah, sometimes I wonder if you even listen. I'm just kidding. So I had a guy come up to me the other day and says, "I saw you on TV the other day." He says, "You need to lose some weight." I'm like, "Oh, thank you. Appreciate it." I said, I need to get better looking too. Tell me something else I don't know.
Was that your physician that told you that?
Well, of course. Yeah, him and others.
Yeah. So where are we going today, Mr. Wayne?
Well, I want to ask you.
Okay. He's scaring me now.
A person, let's just say approaching retirement. Right
yeah,
there.
Very close.
Yeah. Well, I don't mean you. I just mean a person.
Yeah.
That maybe has a year left, 2 years left before they're thinking of winding down. Mm-hmm. What do you think they should be doing right now to prepare for retirement?
Ooh, that's a good question. So,
I'm going to tell you, but I just want to see, what you think the number. And let me just ask this: the number one first thing you should do.
Well, I obviously that's going to be different for every family because, family situations are different. I'm going to play that card back to you all the time.
This is where it's not the answer.
It depends.
It depends. It doesn't apply here. Believe it or not.
It doesn't. It does
not.
Well, I would, in my brain, and maybe I'm totally wet, is I would try to either eliminate or minimize as much debt as possible if I have any. Mm-hmm. And then I would try to maximize, if I have the ability, any of my 401s or any of those kinds of things so that when I retire, those are maximized. Mm-hmm. I don't know if that's the correct answer, but that's what's in my head.
Those are a couple steps, but you have no basis on evaluating, do you even need to do that stuff, right?
Okay.
How do you know if you have enough money or not?
Sure.
So the first step, and this is everybody, that doesn't depend on the family or whatever, is people need to know where their money's going in all the categories of living life.
Okay.
And we've talked about the expense sheet that I give every client that I ask them to fill out. And I have them go backwards over the past 12 months or previous calendar year, whatever, and look at what they're spending on all the categories: housing, automobile,
okay,
child care if there's any, clothing, medical, hobbies, dining out, tithing, travel, gifts to kids and grandkids, all the topics. I got literally 100 areas
sure,
that I want to know, as a financial planner, helping someone to retire, and people should want to know where their money went over the last 12 months. Living the way they were living, where'd it go?
Sure.
Okay. Detailed. Not, I think I could live on this. This is what we spent on groceries,
Right.
household goods, dining out, whatever, hobbies, boats, campers, motorcycles, whatever, anything. Where'd the money go?
Sure. That's a good thing to know.
You got to know it.
Yeah.
Otherwise, you're just guessing
Right.
going into retirement. So based on that, whatever that number is, okay, let's say it's $50,000 a year. Okay.
Okay.
Then my next step is I ask them, what is your net paycheck currently?
Okay.
Both husband and wife, if there's a married couple. What goes into the checking account every pay period?
Sure.
And we multiply that out for the year. Okay. Hypothetically, let's say it's $60,000. Okay.
Hopefully, it's more than what you spent.
So then the next thing is, how much was your savings account a year ago?
Okay.
And how much is it today? If it didn't go up by 10,000, then they missed something on that sheet,
Okay.
right?
Sure.
Where'd the 10 go?
Right.
I wanted to know all your expenses for the last year in all these categories, and you put them down, and it says 50, but you're telling me you got paid 60.
Right.
So we got to find out the 10. Okay, that's one exercise. That aside, it could have been less. Their net could be 45, and their expenses are 50. And then, okay, let's look at your debt now. Did your debt go up 5? It must have, or you have other income coming in somewhere, or you
Right.
spent more or less than what you're telling me.
Sure.
You got to know before you ever retire, and this is a big mistake a lot of people make, most people make. You got to know your number, living the
Okay.
way you live. Then that sheet is a basis too, because we could look at all the categories and see what might change in retirement.
Okay.
Okay,
Sure.
if maybe they drive a lot to work, long ways, so auto expenses will go down. Maybe they barely vacationed or traveled, so in retirement maybe that'll go up. Whatever, but we have the baseline, living the way they live, however it is, and I don't care if it's 10 or 15 grand a month. I don't care if it's 3,000. I don't care. I want to know true numbers.
Right.
Okay, that's the basis, and then when we come back from the break, I'll explain where we go from there.
Very good tease. I like that. Well, friends, go to Wayne's website, todaysretirees.com, and we'll discuss your family's, I'm just going to call it expense sheet.
Yeah, this is basic retirement planning right here, and it's as basic as you can get. That expense sheet is so important.
And we'll pick that up when we come back.
We've all heard the word rollover when referring to an investment account at work, or your 401k, your 403b, your 457 plan. What do you do with that when you've left your job and your 401k or other retirement plan is still at your old employer? Or what if you've retired? And one thing you don't want to do is you don't want to leave your money, your retirement account, in your employer's 401k. Quite frankly, your old employer or current employer is the boss of your retirement account. So if you have questions about what to do with your rollover, you roll it to Wayne. Get it in your own hands, where you have the whole universe of investments and choices, not just what your employer tells you can pick from. So contact my office for a free consultation on how to roll over your old retirement account.
And welcome back to Today's Retirees with certified financial planner Wayne Maslyk of Great Lakes Benefits and Wealth Management. In our previous segment, we were talking about basically your retirement plan and the basic plan and how to start with that plan. And as Wayne explained in our previous segment, you start where you are. Fancy that. And you have to know what your expenses are. But he told us that when we come back, we would expand on that. Now that we know what that number is, what's next?
Yeah, and this really isn't the right retirement plan, right? I mean, it's part of my planning process.
Okay.
But I just want to have the topic of today, just retirement basics.
Sure.
It's just, like football blocking basics, just the normal nuts and bolts of it. This is just the very beginning, but should be the first step before somebody retires.
Okay.
And this then helps to build off a plan once you get into the nitty gritty.
Okay.
Because you had said when I asked you should someone be doing, just prior to retirement, and you said, well, pay off debt and load a bunch of money in your retirement accounts. But there's nothing that told us we needed to do either. Right. So, okay. So now we have someone's expenses, true expenses. Not just utilities. You ask anyone, hey, what's your expenses? They're going to say, $400 a month for food, $100 a month for gas, utilities, and then it stops.
Yeah.
There's no shopping. There's no spoiling the grandkids. There's no $100 a meal, 4 times a month, dining out. It's just, I want to know everything.
Sure.
Okay. Once you have that, and let's say it's $5,000 a month. Okay, that's what the people spent living their lifestyle over the last year. Now we look at what their income sources are going to be in retirement. Okay, if they're Social Security, what's that going to be? Their pension, public or private, if they have any, what's that going to be?
Sure.
So we get their fixed income, and we do it at a projected age. Right? Some people wait to take Social Security to the optimum age and all that. That's part of the retirement plan. So that's way ahead of this. Okay, or way after this, I should say. So we get the fixed income. And let's say the one Social Security is $1,500 and the other pension is $2,000, hypothetically, a public pension or whatever. So they have $3,500 in income. Well, the need was $5,000. So do we have enough saved based on the $5,000 a month to produce the $1,500 shortage?
Okay, sure. Makes sense.
And then we run those numbers. If they have $500,000 saved, say 3% on $500,000 is $15,000 a year. So they're pretty close without dipping into their investments.
Sure.
Right? Just living off interest.
Right.
So that tells me if, say, a house payment is included in their $5,000 a month and they have $500,000 saved, they don't have to pay off the house.
Sure.
They really don't have to save another dollar. It's covered.
Okay. Sure.
There's no need to. Now, if they didn't have enough saved, then we got to figure out what's the number we need. And maybe then they should be pouring money in.
Okay.
Or focusing on paying off the house because the house payment is going to be too tight or they won't be able to swing that. So, then we want the house paid off.
Okay, sure.
So that's where the it depends comes to those scenarios.
Okay.
Right? But the expense sheet is the baseline for that.
Okay.
For everybody. I mean, it's, even for, like Neil, who's recording this for a young family, working family, they should know what their expenses, their true, what they spend, and then compare that to their monthly income.
Sure.
And is there any left?
Right.
If there is, then that'll give them an idea what they could save, what they could put it in retirement accounts or buy something with or put towards a new purchase or whatever. Yeah.
Okay. So that number, that expense number, is vital to everything we do going forward.
Vital. The most important part.
Because if we don't know that, we don't have any idea where we're going.
You're weighing it.
And how many, just curious, how many folks come to you know that number?
Well, you'd be surprised. Yeah, you'd be surprised. A lot of people I give the assignment to, and they have it already Excel spreadsheeted, which we have that in Excel format too. And they'll set a meeting in a week, and it's done.
Wow.
No problem.
I'm impressed.
Others, yeah, I mean, a lot of people.
Yeah.
And you'd be surprised, like, not always the person you'd think in the house, Like
Right.
some people, I had a client in last week where, the one spouse paid for everything, wrote all the checks and everything, but she wasn't the one keeping track of it. He had it all Excel spreadsheet.
Okay.
And he doesn't pay any bill, but he tracked it.
Sure.
And I love that.
Yeah.
That's ideal when someone knows where their money's going.
Right.
And then other folks, when I give them the assignment or homework or whatever, they're grimacing, and I don't know how I'm going to do this.
Right.
Right? I just use a debit card for everything, or we use cash for a lot of things, and then it's tough.
Right.
But you can figure it out.
Sure.
And
Well, I would think
that's what I help them do too. I mean, if they do use a lot of
Sure.
cash, and
Yeah.
I've had my staff, go through people's bank accounts or years worth and categorize from what they can out of the checkbook,
Okay.
and debit statements.
Right.
So it can be done.
Sure.
And if you've done a poor job tracking, then it's more of a pain.
Right.
If you do a lot of spending on credit cards, a lot of the credit card companies,
It's easier because they
They'll-
send you statements.
yeah, or you could print a report
Yeah.
year end or whenever you want, and it's all categorized.
Right.
So you do that, add it to your debit account, add it to your checking account,
Mm-hmm.
see where your cash is going, and now we got an idea of
Sure.
what the number is. You got to know the number.
And there are apps that you can use that will help you. You just fill in the blanks and it will sort them for you. If
Yeah, I
folks
mean,
are into
Dave
that.
Ramsey's got the Every Dollar
Yeah.
app, and there's others.
Right. Mm-hmm.
Mint, I think, is an app. But, yeah, there's ways to do it, but
Right.
not everyone does it.
Right.
Yeah, and it's not you like to follow a budget, and we'll talk about it. It's definitely not a budget thing. After the break here,
Sure.
I'll explain that this is not a budget, and I don't care where their money goes,
Right.
or how, you know what I mean?
Well, that's one of the things that I like about Wayne. He lets you live your life. He just works with you to make sure you can retire well. And that's one of the things that I like about, as I've learned through the years working with him. But hey, we got to take a break. Go to Wayne's website, todaysretirees.com. We'll be back right after this.
We've all heard the word rollover when referring to an investment account at work, or your 401k, your 403b, your 457 plan. What do you do with that when you've left your job and your 401k or other retirement plan is still at your old employer? Or what if you've retired? And one thing you don't want to do is you don't want to leave your money, your retirement account, in your employer's 401k. Quite frankly, your old employer or current employer is the boss of your retirement account. So if you have questions about what to do with your rollover, you roll it to Wayne. Get it in your own hands, where you have the whole universe of investments and choices, not just what your employer tells you can pick from. So contact my office for a free consultation on how to roll over your old retirement account. A certified financial planner is a true professional, a well-rounded, holistic planner that helps you in all areas of your financial life. Estate planning, tax planning, financial planning, insurance planning. We have to sit for a 10-hour, 2-day exam, at least back when I took the test. It's not just a weekend designation where you go somewhere for a couple days, pay a couple $100, and now you have letters behind your name. One thing I think is important is that you try and find a independent certified financial planner. Somebody that doesn't work for a big firm. I myself own my company, Great Lakes Benefits and Wealth Management. The buck stops with me, an independent certified financial planner, one of the only ones on the north coast of Ohio.
And welcome back to Today's Retirees with certified financial planner Wayne Maslyk of Great Lakes Benefits and Wealth Management. Today's program, we have been talking about basics, very basics, not really getting into your plan, but what I'm hearing is where to start and how to start.
If you're about to retire or even if, a lot of people just retired and never did this. So
Well, this is a good information if
Yeah.
you're 40 years old.
yeah, or if you're 70 and have been retired for 10 years. I mean,
That's true.
right? I mean, it's a need to know type of a thing. You got to know where your money's going. And what I was saying before the break is this isn't, so they have to abide by these numbers in every category every month or it's not that.
Right.
Really, I only need clients to do it one time, right? And then we know what our baseline is to make sure they're not going to run out of money,
Sure.
if they live a long time. And that's the key. You don't want to see that money going down, 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 then have a market correction and it drops you. And now you have a risk of outliving your money.
Right.
That's like the worst thing and the thing that I try most for people to avoid. You don't want to run out of money later in life.
Sure.
And to make sure that doesn't happen, we got to make sure you have enough money before you retire.
Right.
And that's why I wanted to go with that too. One direction is if the numbers don't work out, then they're either going to have to change their lifestyle. In other words, bring those numbers down, or they can't retire.
Or work longer. Yeah. Right.
You got to save more. You got to pay more, get the house paid off, or get whatever they may have other debt that needs paid off before they can retire. They may be able to semi-retire, get out of the job that they wanted to get, retire from, but they're still going to have to go earn 15 grand somewhere.
Sure.
I don't care doing what, but because they don't have enough money to truly retire.
Right.
But we don't know that until we look at those numbers and then run everything from there.
Right.
You don't want to find out 2 or 3 or 4 or 5 years into retirement that it ain't going to work out.
Right.
And then go back to work, which you see people in Lowe's or Home Depot or McDonald's
You
having
want
to
fries
do that
with
just
that?
saying.
Yeah, right.
Right.
Yeah.
So, and it's a sad thing, but it's because they didn't do this type of exercise.
Right.
Or work with a professional.
Sure. So if you're retired or nearing retirement and you don't know this is the first thing you need to do is to find out where that is. And if you have younger children or grandchildren, I would encourage you, I'm sure Wayne will probably back me up, to have them know this stuff as well.
And, there's always exceptions to the rule. I mean, if you have a doctor, making $250 a year and has 2 or 3 million saved and ends up saving $100,000 a year, in savings, they don't need to do this really, right? But they still should.
Right.
But there's people that have plenty of money that doesn't matter what they spend, because they're just loaded.
Right.
So I'm talking about
The average Joe.
average person,
Yeah.
and then there's the other person that lives like a pauper, shops at the Goodwill all the time and has no debt, 10-year-old car and, few $100,000 saved. They probably don't need to do this either because, the number is probably $2,000 a month max. And their Social Security will be $1,800. So when they got $300 in the bank, but they still should know.
Right. Well, one of the things that I have learned from you through the years is, and I said this as we left, you're not really concerned about my lifestyle. You're not trying to dictate my lifestyle. You want me to enjoy my retirement.
100%.
And
the way you want to.
The way you, and if I want to, travel the world or just sit on the beach for the next 20 years, it doesn't matter to you. You just want to make me be able to do what I need to do.
I want to make sure you can do that.
Yeah.
Without having to worry about running out of money.
Sure.
Or even not running out of money. A lot of folks want to leave their loved ones an inheritance. They don't want to just not run out of money. They want to make sure there's enough left to make an impact on their children or children and grandchildren.
Sure.
So that's all part of the planning process. Right. But again, very beginning, that expense sheet.
Right. Now, when we look at and let me go back to that first, what you said, the expense sheet, you're talking, and if I've heard you right, is pretty much everything we spend.
Everything.
I mean, and you mentioned, like Christmas and holidays and birthdays and, and if you are in the habit of spending things for nieces and nephews and extended family,
Even
not
the church and tithing, your hobbies. People have, boats.
Sure.
You got dockage, you got storage, you got fuel, you got maintenance, repairs. That's a lot of money,
Sure.
and that, needs to be part of the thing. If you have a pet or multiple pets,
Sure.
you have pet food and you have vet bills. Those can be costly.
right.
So we need to know whatever happened over the last 12 months of a person's or family's life, living the way they lived, what did it cost in every category?
Right.
And we need every category so we could compare it to what they'll likely be in retirement.
Sure.
With their different lifestyle, being retired. Their Home Depot trips might go way up, right? Because they got time on their hands. They're doing projects all over. But by knowing what they spent, on that worksheet, that'll help us guide and
Sure.
give us an educated guess at what it would be in the future.
Right. Which a friend of mine who's passed on now, he always said, when you retire, remember every day becomes Saturday.
Yeah, and people are busy. I'm not retirees, as long as they're healthy, are so busy.
Yeah.
And then they're not working.
Right.
But there's always stuff to do around the house, visit projects. They're just very busy people.
Right.
So it's even hard sometimes to get them to do the expense sheet or the exercises to lay out their future
Sure.
retirement plan.
And the whole point of retiring is to enjoy what you have worked for the most of your life.
Absolutely.
So that's one of the things that Wayne is good about doing. He helps your family, whatever your goals, whatever your needs, whatever your wants are, he helps your family put together a plan to make that happen. And you can get a hold of him by going to the telephone at 866-626-3990 or go to his website at todaysretirees.com. We'll see you the next time.
Thanks for tuning in to Today's Retirees with certified financial planner Wayne Maslyk of Great Lakes Benefits and Wealth Management. Visit todaysretirees.com or call 866-626-3990 to schedule a no-cost appointment with Wayne. Today's Retirees is brought to you by Great Lakes Benefits and Wealth Management, family-focused retirement and tax planning services, anchored in family values. Information and opinions discussed on Today's Retirees do not necessarily reflect the opinions of this station. Opinions expressed should not be substituted for individualized consultation with a qualified financial advisor. For specific information, call 866-626-3990 or visit todaysretirees.com.
A certified financial planner is a true professional, a well-rounded, holistic planner that helps you in all areas of your financial life. Estate planning, tax planning, financial planning, insurance planning. We have to sit for a 10-hour, 2-day exam, at least back when I took the test. It's not just a weekend designation where you go somewhere for a couple days, pay a couple $100, and now you have letters behind your name. One thing I think is important is that you try and find a independent certified financial planner. Somebody that doesn't work for a big firm. I myself own my company, Great Lakes Benefits and Wealth Management. The buck stops with me, an independent, certified financial planner, one of the only ones on the north coast of Ohio.